My 20F boyfriend, 20M, said that I was embarrassing him while I was giving birth to our baby.
I am not the original poster. The original post by you, throw RA 540,098 in our relationship advice. Reminder: do not comment on linked posts. Trigger warnings. Abusive behavior. Gaslighting. Less than. Mood spoilers. Upset. Concerned. Empowered. Less than. An NBSP. My 20F boyfriend, 20M, said that I was embarrassing him while I was giving birth to our baby Sat. July 18, 2020. We have been in a relationship for 1 year and we had a baby boy last week. I had a natural birth and my BF was there throughout the whole process. I screamed a lot and each time I did he whispered something like, "Can you stop screaming? You're really embarrassing me." I also threw up a few times and I saw him cover his face in shame. When I held the midwife's hand for comfort, he whispered, "Let go of her. Stop being so embarrassing." He also said that my birthing position was embarrassing and called me a few vulgar names. I'm really upset about his behavior that day, especially when it was when I needed his support the most. When I try to talk to him about it, he denies ever saying it and that I'm being silly. Comments. Coding Blonde NFO. Did he convince you to get pregnant? This whole situation reads as an abuser starting to trap his victim. One way abusers do this is to convince their abused to have kids with them. His behavior is seriously concerning. Abuse doesn't start overnight, it's a slippery slope, and the abusers tend to double down after certain milestones are reached. Trust your other relationships right now. Your boyfriend is not to be trusted, and I do not think you should forgive him for his behavior. It will only get worse. Get yourself to safety. Please. Call your mom and make a plan. OFE mentioned that having a baby would be a good idea. However, the baby was unplanned. My mom says I should definitely leave him, but I can't stay at her house. So I'm trying to decide where I go from here. I might try to discuss couple counseling with him first. Edit. I know that there are a lot of comments, but I am reading them all. And I just want to thank everybody for the advice and support so far. I spoke to my mom about this, but she is the very traditional type, and although she said his behavior is wrong, I should try couple counseling first. I really don't think he is going to listen to me when I suggest getting help, but I'll try. I am also going to talk to my public health nurse. Edit 2. Thank you so much to everybody who commented and DM'd me with words of support, and those who have also been in similar situations. I have since tried to discuss the option of couple counseling to him, but to no avail. Which didn't surprise me. My mom has agreed to let me stay there until I can find a new place for myself and baby. I haven't said anything to him yet. I've been advised not to, so I am still planning out how I am going to take the next step. An NBSP update. My boyfriend said that I was embarrassing him while I was giving birth to our baby 3 days after. Original post. Thank you so much for everyone's advice and support, both through DMS and on the original post. I want to update, as many people were very concerned and I promised it to a few people. Reading people's responses reassured me about how serious the situation was and how I'd be stupid if I stayed in the relationship and allowed it to get worse. I spoke to my mom, who recommended couple counseling, and if that didn't work, then I would be allowed to live with my parents. I then approached him when he came home and gave him an ultimatum. I told him he can either continue to ignore that he acted horribly during the birth and other numerous times, or he can admit to how he has treated me and apologize and get counseling. But obviously he continued to gaslight me and got extremely angry to the point where he was screaming at both me and the baby. He ended up storming out to his best friends. I was also advised against couple counseling by many of you, as you said it often encourages an abuser's behavior. Which made a lot of sense, and I wish I read that before speaking to him. My mom came round after he left and said he's an asshole, and even though she doesn't agree with single parenting, she thought anything would be better than staying with him and enabling his behavior. He has tried to visit me and the baby since, as he guessed I was at my mom's. Both my mom and I have told him it's over and that we're leaving the rest down to the courts. I will be telling my solicitor everything, so who knows what the custody arrangements will be. I'm just glad that myself and my baby are out of there and I can finally enjoy being a mother. Yesterday I went shopping and bought what I wanted instead of what he wanted, and I never felt so free since before I met him. To many people that will sound ridiculous, but quite frankly he controlled every single aspect of my life. However, I am planning on going to therapy, as I feel like the bad experience I had at my birth as well as his abuse in other areas has left a profound effect on me. I also called a few domestic abuse hotlines and they gave me some brilliant advice. Thank you to whoever it was that sent me those. What was weird was the best friend he went over to see actually contacted me yesterday to say how happy he is to hear that I'm leaving him. He said he noticed how unhappy he made me and how disrespectful he is around women as a whole, and that the abuse didn't exist just towards me but to his colleagues also. So it's good to know that I have a few people on my side. No doubt things will be constantly changing from now until the foreseeable future, and I am terrified. But the main thing is that I'm away from him and me and my son are safe, and that I'm feeling empowered enough to know that the way he treated me was 100% wrong and that he will pay the right price as long as I fight for it. Thanks again. I won't forget all of you that helped in the time when I needed it the most. Heart. An NBSP reminder: I am not the original poster. He mentioned that having a baby would be a good idea. However, the baby was unplanned. Sounds like baby was planned, just not by Oop. How does a mom hear this story and not immediately make up the couch for her kid? Edit. Guys, I'm aware of religion and social standing. My mom came round after he left and said he's an asshole, and even though she doesn't agree with single parenting, she thought anything would be better than staying with him and enabling his behavior. Gee, I wonder where Op learned that talking down to her is completely acceptable. What was weird was the best friend he went over to see actually contacted me yesterday to say how happy he is to hear that I'm leaving him. He said he noticed how unhappy he made me and how disrespectful he is around women as a whole, and that the abuse didn't exist just towards me but to his colleagues also. That is weird. Sounds like friends should leave him too. Maybe he's gearing up to do the same? If a man can't support you while you're trying to push out his baby, the relationship is already dead and buried. Unfortunately, Oop probably missed a billion marinara flags before she got pregnant. I would be 0% surprised if he tampered with her BC. 2. Thank goodness that baby won't have to grow up thinking that guy's behavior is normal. I guess this man thought that she should have given a birth in silence, with a smile on her face. Is he an idiot? Or did he just want to shame her with an impossible demand? If his best friend knows all this about him, why is he still friends with him? I am so grateful my birth control never failed when I was 20 and dating jerks. Is anyone else weirded out by the mom not letting her abused daughter stay at her home? And that little comment about not agreeing with single parenting, lol. Good thing they weren't married. Wow, this was 3 years ago. I hope Oop was able to stay safe with her son. and away from the abusive ex. And I never felt so free since before I met him. To many people that will sound ridiculous. Unfortunately, no, that does not sound ridiculous to many people. Good for Oop. This post reminded me how lonely and confusing it is to be in an abusive relationship before you realize what's happening is abuse. Honestly, if my husband had said any of that to me while I screamed my way through an unplanned natural childbirth, child was planned. Not getting an epidural due to said child escaping the womb early was not lol. I'd have been pissed. As it was, we had to have a few talks about how much the sounds I'd made had scared him. But throughout the whole process, vomiting, laboring, pushing, screaming, all of it, he was nothing but supportive. I hurt so much for the women in these abusive relationships who have been so pushed down that they aren't even sure if they're wrong to expect support from their partner. I say this as a guy. I think you can simulate birth pain with electric shocks. I saw it on a Try Guys episode. I think OOP's ex should have to endure that as long as Oop endured childbirth before he can be allowed near his kid. That won't even really give him the experience because he won't have to recover from all that childbirth does to a woman's body, but I still think he needs to learn a valuable lesson. $10 says he would scream the whole time and involuntarily relieve himself. What was weird was the best friend he went over to see actually contacted me yesterday to say how happy he is to hear that I'm leaving him. He said he noticed how unhappy he made me and how disrespectful he is around women as a whole. And that the abuse didn't exist just towards me but to his colleagues also. What gets me is this guy sees it and is still friends with him. Same thing with my ex. People saw. We lived with friends who saw. Hell, at one point his friend had to tackle him because he had an axe and was trying to hurt me with it. They're still friends and I don't understand how. When I left, people told me they were glad and then they picked their friendship with him over me. Honestly, I blame the people who see and do nothing as much as the person doing the abuse. That midwife should have booted him out of the room so fast. I can't believe that a trained midwife would stand by silently and let a man berate a woman while she's at her absolute most vulnerable. What was weird was the best friend he went over to see actually contacted me yesterday to say how happy he is to hear that I'm leaving him. He said he noticed how unhappy he made me and how disrespectful he is around women as a whole. And that the abuse didn't exist just towards me but to his colleagues also. So it's good to know that I have a few people on my side. But he's still friends with him though. If he feels this way, did he speak up or only decided to be an ally to Oop? If that's the case, then I wouldn't trust this or think he's on my side. I'd be worried that he's trying to be a nice guy and demand sex later on. This is so scary. He was gonna try to make that little boy just like him. I'm glad she and baby got away from him. Anybody who screams at a baby is garbage. The fact that that's the lesser offense, compared to degrading her during childbirth, is alarming. I'm glad she woke up and is getting help. Also glad mom woke up and realized how dire things really were, and put tradition aside for her daughter. Babies having babies. I can't think of a worse time to realize your boyfriend is a psychotic asshole than while you're halfway through pushing his baby out of your womb.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.